Words out there, and that's what we're breaking down on today's show.
The Whitney Reynolds Show is supported by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston and Chicago. The Autobarn Mazda, where driving matters. A Safe Haven Foundation. Housing is healthcare. And Children's Learning Place. Excellence in early childhood education since 1998. Special thanks to Kevin Kelly at Jameson Sotheby's International Realty, Dr. Daft Terry and the team at Art of Modern Dentistry, Mazda, Cellular Intelligence, and Chicago Andrea Creative.
Online dating, speed dating, blind dates, matchmakers, reality TV, and new apps, just to name a few. In a world where there's a million ways to meet people, why are so many folks still single? That's what we're looking at on today's show. We're talking dating.
You're watching The Whitney Reynolds Show.
Bella Gandhi is the president of the Smart Dating Academy, a pro at helping people find companionship. She's here to explain some easy steps busy people can take to fall into the journey of love. Welcome to the show, Bella.
It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, the topic is a light one, but it also is something that a lot of people are dealing with. Why are so many people still single?
So ironically, okay, first, let's start out with this. 43% of the adult population is single. It's 107 million single adults. So it's not for lack of people, number one. Number two, it's gotten easier, quote, and I put that in quotes, easier to date because of technology and dating and online sites and apps in the last 5 years. So there's such an abundance of people that sometimes people get overwhelmed, they get paralyzed, they do what I call binge purge dating. They go on 5 dates, they're like, oh my God, this is terrible. They put it away and they do nothing for 2 years. So there's so much, but it's easier to meet people than ever, but in some senses, it can be more challenging.
That's what I was gonna say. Do the technology, the phones, did those actually make it easier? I mean, sure, you're going to come across a lot more people, but I'm wondering, like, is it something that's kind of confusing the whole dating process?
Most people don't know how to do it right, but when you do, I love online dating. The statistics say 1 in 3 marriages in this country last year took place because of online connections. So when you know who you're looking for women, we call them high GHQ guys, high and good husband qualities.
Oh, that's good. Say that again.
High GHQ. Listen to that. Marinate in that. Absorb that. High GHQ. And it's really a different roadmap. It's a different checklist than people walk in. So first, you got to have that to know what kind of a partner is going to make you happy. And then once you know that, and you know red flags that are going to come up in the process, then you should get yourself online 1 or 2 sites or apps maximum. I can't tell you how many people walk into my office saying, I'm on 9 different sites and apps and I can't meet anybody. I'm like, you're gonna have dating ADHD. You gotta shut that down, and we're gonna go to 1 or 2 sites or apps. And then having the right photos and the right profiles. There's so much around it, but when you do it right, you'll be firing on all cylinders.
So you help your clients find time. What does that mean?
We're like personal trainers for people's dating and love lives, right?
Huh.
So everybody comes in different places. We've got clients that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s, 70s, and it's about getting into the right mindset, which is key. Our mindset is called psychotic optimism. That means you are optimistic at any cost, and you reset your mindset to say, love is a when for me. It's not an if. It will happen. So as soon as you get your mindset in the right place and you're excited about it and you're inspired and you feel like he or she is out there, it becomes very easy to make the time.
I like the whole mindset thing, but to people watching that have been burnt, what do you say to them?
Don't quit. love is out there for you. So you've been burnt. Now, by watching this show and this segment, you are inducted into the club of psychotic optimists. So get up, dust yourself off, get up, and hit it again. And if you need help, get help. It takes a village to find love, right? So if things aren't going the right way, you're continuously dating or meeting narcissists or avoidance or people that have addictions you don't want, whatever that is, that's a sign that you need to change something up. So do that.
How did you become an expert at this? Was it that you just met your husband right off the bat?
I wish it were that easy. No, I discovered that I have, some people have called it a sixth sense. Some people have called it intuition, but I started matchmaking people on gut back when I was in college.
Really?
I know, like everyone, I believe in life, everybody has a gift and something that we're supposed to bring to the world. So that was the first real inkling that that was my gift. And there were so many people after that. I got most of my friends, including me, out of my bad dating patterns, got them all married. They're all happily married in relationships. So by the time I sold my last company, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So I got certified. I'm a voracious reader and put this company together 8 years ago.
Wow. Well, you just mentioned bad dating patterns. What are some of those?
How long do we have?
Well, let's go.
It's this people doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. When somebody says to me, I'll ask them, I kind of bait them, like, what's your type? And as soon as they describe their type, I'm like, there's a potential dating pattern in there. So, and again, dating patterns can stem from a lot of different things. You know, one of the things is what we saw at home with our parents growing up. How healthy was their relationship?
Right.
You know, was there one parent that wasn't very there for us, there for our mother, whatever that is, but that can really have an indelible impact on how we choose partners. So it's how we were attached to our parents. Then what we see in Hollywood, like, oh, I think he's just we're going to be at Whole Foods and we're going to meet eyes over mangoes. And that's how it's supposed to happen.
Right.
So there's all of the stuff that people come in with that can lead to their dating pattern. So it's never the same, but there's lots of different factors that play into that.
Well, we're going to bring you back on in a moment with more of your dating advice. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, this was amazing. Thank you.
It's now time for our viewer's voice, and this week's question is, with everyone glued to their phones and technology, do you find it harder to connect in person?
Of course. You know, with social media, one of the biggest things is people can engage without really having the real commitment, or not even commitment, the real connection of meeting in person. So with that, you don't know what you're getting sometimes, and it's really deceitful. And even if you're not lying or being deceitful, I find it hard that when I do meet somebody on social media, the moment we meet in person, we're still basing everything that we've said and talked about on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because nobody really knows how to verbally communicate. They only know how to type, and I don't know, it just messes up everything because nobody knows how to talk face to face anymore.
Joining us now, we have Kendra Chaplin, an entrepreneur that founded a successful magazine. On paper, she's meeting Mr. Perfect, yet in person, something is lacking. Welcome to the show, Kendra and Bella. It's nice to have you back.
Good to be back.
So Kendra, you are a single mom. You run a successful magazine. There are a lot of events surrounded by people all the time, but having trouble connecting with the special one. What do you think's going on there?
I think it's something that a lot of working mothers, single mothers deal with. You're juggling all these different things, work, kids, your partner, your former partner or ex, all of those childcare arrangements. And you have the whole life work balance that you're struggling with. That's the elusive. I don't know that anybody ever really gets there.
I don't know if we ever get
right.
that.
But having your full life in that respect, and then you start adding in like, oh, now you have to date. And finding that extra time to do that is a challenge, and then to focus on it too, because you are doing so many things. You have to stop and say, okay, I need to be social, or I need to be thinking about this, or I need to be, actually putting myself out there in that way.
Do you feel that sometimes men are threatened by your ability as an entrepreneur?
No, I think it's embraced. I think
Cool.
that I think that when you meet somebody and you kind of tell them what you do or whatever, they either respond positively or negatively. And if somebody doesn't like what you do, that's what's a women's magazine. We're all about empowering women, and all the events I go to are always filled with women, and we're always, the sisterhood of doing things. And sure, I mean, some men may not really like that, or it might make them uncomfortable. They might be intimidated by it. But so far, you get the right kind of guys that,
That's
believe
right.
in supporting you. And it's nice because the magazine kind of puts it out there first.
Bella, I want to bring you into this conversation because we want to give Kendra some advice for meeting Mr. Right. I mean, like she has kids in the equation. She's an entrepreneur, which I feel like as entrepreneurs, we are running from A to B constantly. And so give us some advice here. What would you say to Kendra?
Well, what Kendra was saying earlier is really the biggest issue that we see with single parents. I work with a lot of single parents at Smart Dating Academy. So it's really about putting it into your life and creating that time. Just like you would say, I need me time, I need work time. It's 15 to 30 minutes is all I would ask from a dating plan. That's all I ask of people in general. So it's like building a little bit of fitness in there,
So
right?
15 to 30 minutes a day.
Yes, right in the morning. And then 15 minutes in the evening.
Oh.
And it works, right? And again, it's about wanting it. It's like wanting to stay fit, wanting to be healthy, wanting to stay connected to your friends. It's just that conscious decision and then being mindful about blocking that time out on a daily basis, or as much as you can do, even if it's 3 to 4 days. Granted, I'm a dating coach, so I'm like 7 days a week. But look, if you do 3 or 4 or 5, just do something deliberate and good for you. And then you've got to think about with that, what are your goals, right? And that's really the question. Do I want to find, a long-term committed partner right now? Or do I just want to casually date people to practice dating and see what I want this time around? So knowing what your goals are is really important, especially for single parents as you get back out there.
Well, and one thing I love about Kendra is leading up to this show, you told me that your ex and you have established ground rules when it comes to dating. And I found that
I love
really
that.
interesting, but also so helpful if you think about it. Tell us about some of those.
So for us, it's, when somebody gets to meet our children, the terms, I agreed, for instance, I think that my ex should be able to meet the person that's going to meet our daughters before.
Meet them first.
Yeah. Same with me. If there's going to be somebody else spending significant amount of time with my children, I would like to know them as well.
That is, what do you think about the ground rules? I love that.
I love that. I think anything that you do deliberately, right, then you set the expectations. So there's so little room at that point for conflict, because if you don't have those things, I hear the other side of it when people don't have those plans and it's like, oh, my ex has a revolving door of women that he introduces to the kids, and who wants that at the end of the day? Nobody. And the kids then, and the problem is kids get attached to people so quickly. So one of the things I do tell single clients is be really mindful and wait at least 6 months or until you have some significant skin in the game before you introduce people to your children. Because if they get attached and then that person leaves again, your kids are like, again, really? So being really mindful about that is usually, not revolving dooring people like, oh yeah, it's our second date, come on in and meet my kids, right? And being wary of people that want you to meet their kids right away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so many tips. We're going to follow Kendra's Love Journey online, so you want to check that out. And then Bella, you're going to give us more tips so they can check that out on WhitneyReynolds.com as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Next up, we have a dating expert who's convinced all it takes is a little FaceTime and some lunch to meet your partner in life. Well, hello, Erica.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, the topic today is dating, and your company stands on a little face-to-face time.
Yes.
Tell me how crucial that is.
I think it's so crucial. I think dating today, it's changed so much over, the years, but especially the last couple of years. And what we've noticed is that face-to-face, when we actually meet our clients face-to-face first, it really helps make those matches. And we're setting up these low-pressure, fun first dates for them. And I think not having all that work of talking beforehand, we're doing everything for them. So I think it makes things a little easier.
So when the clients come to you, it's just lunch.
Yes.
Is that really what it is? Just lunch?
I think we've been around 26 years. So it used to be it's just lunch. And as times have changed, people are so busy at work these days. I've seen a shift more towards drinks after work or even brunches on the weekend when people are a little less busy at work. But it's really anytime.
So you can meet anytime and you prep them ahead of time. Is that right?
Yeah. So basically, we'll do an initial interview with our clients first to make sure we can work with them. And then after that, we're introducing them to other It's Just Lunch clients. So the best part of this is we know our clients. So you know who you're meeting. We personally hand selected that match. So they do get to hear some details, but they don't get to see pictures. It's we're hand selecting everything. So it's really off of our tuition and how we're making these matches kind of more internally. It's fun though.
Do you ever get offended when it doesn't work out?
You know, I don't. You know, we schedule so many dates and the process is we're getting feedback after each date. So even if the date just goes okay, maybe there wasn't any chemistry there, that's fine because we're learning more and more about our clients to make that next match even better.
How do you work through, like, let's just say the girl is totally in love with the guy, but the guy's like, she wasn't my type. How do you work through that?
You know, and that sometimes can be the case, but once again, we go back to that feedback. So if the qualities she did like about him, if that chemistry isn't there on both sides, we can focus on that for the next match.
How do you find chemistry? Because that sounds like the scientific question I think all of our viewers want to know.
Oh, goodness. Well, if I could put chemistry into a little bottle and sell it, I'd be a billionaire. But it really is more than that. And what I love about what we do is it's more than just coming in and saying, I want A, B, and C. You know, I can't predict that chemistry, but once we get to know our clients, we might know it's what they really need to be successful is A, B, and D. So we're really using all of those tools, getting to know them by hopefully creating that chemistry on the date.
Sometimes the things that people want aren't always kosher to say out loud. Do you still accept those answers?
What kinds of questions?
Well, let's just say someone wants a man that makes a certain amount of money or a woman that makes a certain amount of money. Do you go after that kind of stuff too, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has parameters that they're looking for, and they have things that they want to focus on. We do our best to honor those when we take on clients, but sometimes if we have a really good match, maybe makes a little less, or maybe they're a little older than what they prefer. You know, once we get to know our clients, it's influencing them to meet these people.
And since you said you don't show them a picture of the person before, how do they know who they're meeting? Is it like, the person in the purple shirt? Like, how do you? Yeah.
No, so we actually we take all the work out of dating. So all they really have to do is give us their schedule and we make the reservation. We set up the date. They'll go to the restaurant and the restaurant will actually seat them together.
And who pays for the tab?
So we actually have the restaurant split the check. So everyone pays their own way. So if there's any awkwardness at the end, we've been around a long time and I do hear that. But if I always coach the men to say if they do have a good time on the date, if they do want to see them again, it probably might be best to pick up the tab. But
interesting. I won't weigh in on that one, but I know how I feel about it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
You might be over online dating or seeing another wedding on TV, but for this couple, those details complete their love story. Let's welcome out John and Caitlin. Welcome to the show, you two lovebirds.
Thanks. My mom calls us that.
Oh, she does. I didn't even know that. That was not planned. Well, I love it. Yeah. Your story is one, I would say not like beating the odds, but people say like, oh, TV is always tough on relationships. Yeah. You got engaged on live television.
We did.
Tell us about that.
It was such a surprise for me.
Yeah.
But so you should probably take the lead on this story.
Yeah. So basically, I was purchasing a ring, and I got approached to ask her to get married on live television. So I was like, yeah, totally, let's do it. And she likes to be like the center of attention. So I was like, totally, this is perfect for her. And I made up a lie that I was doing stand-up comedy, which I was doing on the side as a hobby, and tricked her into coming. She usually doesn't like to stay out late. Even
it was midnight, so I tried to get out of that hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, bring your friends. I need to be in bed.
And I'm like, no, you're coming.
Yeah, you must be there.
Because I'm
you're
not
like,
getting engaged to my friend. So.
Love that. So let's take it back a step further.
Okay.
So not only is like TV relationships a lot of pressure, got engaged, but you actually met from an online dating site.
Yeah, plentyoffish.com.
Plentyoffish.com. Mm-hmm. What was that like? Because I really didn't do the online dating thing. So I'm so curious like how you didn't think he was a stalker or something.
Yeah. Well, my girlfriend was at my house one night and we were cooking dinner and she was telling me all about this new guy that she met. And I was like, how did you meet him? This sounds so nice. She's like, oh, on plentyoffish.com. I was like, well, I don't know how to do this. So you need to like set it up for me. So she set up the whole account for me and it was so fun because you're just in your PJs and you don't have to get excited until there's someone to get excited about.
She reached out to me.
Of course. I was going to say a dashing young man on online.
Yeah.
Why not?
And
right?
boys don't have a lot on their profile. Like we have everything about us.
Yeah.
And so the boys, he does comedy. So I was like, well, I like to laugh.
And I was like, okay, cool. And then, yeah, we just started, messaging back and forth. And I think the messaging from the dating website went to kind of Facebook.
Yeah, you always want to go to Facebook next because you want to see if their pictures are really authentic. So you need to get a bigger sampling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then why did you join online dating?
It was just kind of the craze at the time. Like all my friends were doing it and it was so simplistic. It was on my phone. It was just like, if you get a message, you get a message. If you don't, you don't. Or and you just kind of scroll through the pictures. So it was just like the convenience,
That's interesting because there's, I guess, pros and cons to each.
Yeah.
Some say online dating is very pressured situation because you have to stay on it. But then it also seems the way you explained it, so non-pressure. Like you get a message, respond.
Yeah.
So you two hit it off right away. Then you get engaged. Now you take it up a notch because this is what's even crazier.
Yeah.
You got married on TV.
We did.
But national television on the Today Show.
Yeah.
How did you decide to submit to be married on TV?
So planning a wedding was very overwhelming. I don't know how people do it. It was not my thing.
I think that's why some people watching might be single because the wedding thing is a lot of pressure.
It is. And so really once we started planning from then on, I was like, I'm going to win a wedding. Like this is not happening. So my sister bought me like a planner book and I was like, I'm not opening that. I'm going to win a wedding. And my mom's like, yes, you will. And so we were just like trying to find out the different contests and those they're not a thing anymore, really.
Yeah, I was going to say I've never heard of winning a wedding. I love that was your mantra, but I've never heard of that.
And so we found out about the Today Show hosting one and sponsor of my Big Fat Greek Wedding too, which was perfect because he has a huge Italian family. That was something that our guest list was becoming a little crazy because of. And so it just was so fitting. So we had so many pictures of our family and we really hyped up the culture. So we played Italian music, took quotes from the movie, made them Italian. His mom was in it. And so we just tried to hype up like this is overwhelming for us and we would just love to get married on TV. And within 3 days of submitting our video, we were flown out to New York and it all began.
So at that moment, did you know you were already going to have your wedding on TV?
No, we were like a finalist. So there was like 3 couples and they told us that we would be like in the finalists and then America chose out of the 3 couples.
America chose you.
Yes, but the producer was like, you need to campaign. And we didn't know. So we did.
Yeah.
Like my mom,
Well,
she was staying home at the time and I was like, listen, I have some work for you. Call every radio station, every TV station, every newspaper. They made business cards and flyers and they'd hand them out like my stepdad travels all the time. They'd hand them out on the plane and like we worked it.
Oh my goodness. And so you won the wedding.
We won
what was that like, knowing that you were doing this? Did it take a little bit of a personal touch away or were you kind of like, open the floodgates, we've already done our whole life?
Plan it all for me.
And
I'll just show up.
Yeah, it was just fitting for the type of people we were.
Yeah, the story.
And I didn't, if we were going to plan a wedding, I was like, okay, you do it. And she's like, well, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then, so then to have them do everything was kind of cool. And then we got married by Joey Fatone, which was kind of cool.
Insane.
Yeah, not very many people can say that.
No, he's never married anyone. So.
Well, what advice would you have for people that are, I mean, like there's so many different levels to your story between the online and then the doing things on TV and, because that's one where people will say if you go on TV and do a lot of your life out loud, it's basically doomed, but you're basically bucking the trend on all this. What advice would you have for people out there that are maybe thinking about getting online or putting themselves out there?
I think patience is one, but also communication. Like in the beginning, we had ups and downs, like things like that in the beginning, but it was just being able to communicate with each other when we first started dating. Because I think we had some hiccups, but...
Like boys don't listen so much.
I wasn't a good listener, and she taught me real quick, you need to listen or I'm out. And now I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I heard that loud and clear.
But also, like, it's different for everyone. Like, I was his first date, and he was, like, my 9th. So it's not always about, you've got to just keep going. But I think you just have fun with it, I ended up making friends out of some of the other people that I didn't end up having chemistry with, and I knew that. But then later down the line, we moved to Texas, and one of the dates that I had gone on Plenty of Fish was like, hey, remember when we met my friends, their teachers in Texas, you should be friends with them. And that became our
that's
whole
so
group.
sweet.
So you never know like who you're meeting.
Yeah.
And my mom was nervous. It was like Russian roulette, but you just,
Aw.
you go to public places and
That is
sushi.
so sweet. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I love the advice. Well, thank you both for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, Whitney! We just found out we're pregnant!
Yeah, we're so excited.
We're due in March. Can't wait.
As we've learned, dating is challenging. For all of our single viewers, may the show leave you refreshed and eager to make a connection. And to everyone watching who's found your match, I hope today's show brought a smile to your face thinking back on your journey to love. For more information on today's show, visit WhitneyReynolds.com.
The Whitney Reynolds Show is supported by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston and Chicago. The Autobarn Mazda, where driving matters. A Safe Haven Foundation. Housing is healthcare. And Children's Learning Place. Excellence in early childhood education since 1998. Special thanks to Kevin Kelly at Jameson Sotheby's International Realty, Dr. Daft Terry and the team at Art of Modern Dentistry, Mazda, Cellular Intelligence, and Chicago Andrea Creative.